George was a man who was desperate for work. He had a desire to create wealth. So one day, his wife packed him a lunch consisting of a sandwich and 2 apples, hoping that George would find a job. And George's first stop was at a church, and he spoke to a pastor. The pastor liked him. So George asked the pastor if there's any job openings that he can partake in. And the pastor said, yes, there's a job opening as a janitor. So the pastor gave George papers to fill out. And guess what George said? George said, listen, pastor, I can't read and I can't write. And the pastor said, well, I'm going to be giving you instructions in which I'm going to write down for you, and I require you to follow it. So if you can't read and write, then this job won't work for you. So George left, and he pulled out his lunchbox. And he pulled out one of the apples that his wife left him, and he put it in the air. And all of a sudden, somebody said, how much? So George was dumbfounded. He was flabbergasted. He didn't know what to say. So suddenly he just said, 50 cents? And the person gave him 50 cents for that apple. So George had another apple, and he thought he could replicate it. So George pulled out the second apple, and he put it in the air. And somebody once again said, how much? He said, 50 cents, with more authority. And the person gave him the 50 cents. So George had an idea. George went to a farmer, and he asked the farmer, do you mind if I pick up these apples for you? And the farmer was completely happy. He was excited because he always had to pay somebody to pick up the apples for him, but now he had somebody to do it for free. So what George did now is that he opened his own cart selling apples. It was a success. Then he decided, let me branch off. He started selling more produce, and he took it one step further, and he created 18 carts in the whole city. And one day, when George wanted to go to the bank, he collected his money that he left in the farmhouse, $627,000. He went to the bank to deposit his money, and the bank owner said, George, imagine if you could read and write. And guess what George said? If I can read and write, I would be a janitor right now. Now, I read this story and I want to share it with you guys because I want to allow you to realize that sometimes what you think you need to create the world you want to create, you really don't need. Sometimes you don't need that financial background. Sometimes you don't need that certificate. Sometimes you don't need that diploma. Sometimes you don't need something to justify who you are. Sometimes you don't need those things. Most of the time, if I will say this with utmost authority, you don't need those things. You have everything you need now. And it is your job to become aware of it, just like George did. So I want you, as you go through the rest of the day, as you go through the rest of your life, to let go of all the things that you believe you need to have to create the world you want to create, and realize right now, everything you need is in you. Once you realize that, I can guarantee you, your life will change, and you will realize that you are so much more than you think you are. You will soon become an effector of this world instead of getting infected by this world. So I hope this message renewed your mind and transformed your life. My name is Ralph, and I will speak to you soon.